Well, good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you all here today, particularly members of the public, staff and councillors. I'll start with the opening karakia. If you could all follow through with me, it'd be appreciated. Thank you for that. Just a reminder that this meeting has been recorded and will be live on YouTube and has been live streamed. Today is, we're considering Taupō District Council's written response to the government's Head Start process, including implications of emerging proposals that may directly affect the future of this district. This agenda provides an opportunity to provide clear feedback to government and advocate strongly for the interests of the district and our communities. Before we begin, I want to acknowledge our Chief Executive, Julie Gardine, and her team, two of which are sitting at the table here. I am aware they've put a lot of work and energy into preparing this documentation several times as the work has evolved. I'll move on to item 2, apologies. We've got 2 of our councillors online. Just want to check, Councillor Woodward, you can hear us? Just a sound check from you, please.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, everybody.
And Councillor Steve Mananui, can we just get an acknowledgement from you?
Yep, loud and clear here. Warena, everyone. Sorry I couldn't be there.
Thank you, Councillor. There's one other councillor that we're missing, and that's Councillor Westerman, who is in Scotland, intending to join online. So hopefully she will join us somewhere through the process. But someone like to move that we accept apology for lateness. Councillor Cameron, second to Councillor Leonard. All those in favour say aye. Contrary, no. Carried. Thank you for that. Item number 3, conflicts of interest. Are there any conflicts of interest pertaining to the agenda? I'll take that as none. Thank you for that. Moving on to item 4.1, confirmation minutes of the council meeting held on Tuesday the 28th of July 2026. Are there any amendments that anyone has to those minutes? Not being the case, would someone like to move that we accept them? Councillor Greenslade is seconder. Councillor Leonard. Thank you for that. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. Carried. Moving on to the main agenda item, 5.1, Head Start proposal. And Nick and Sarah, please lead the way.
Good morning, Your Worship and Councillors. Sarah and I have 7 points we just want to briefly touch on this morning, and then we'll step back and let you have your debate after we've answered any questions. So no big flash slideshow today. The first point is that in your information package for this meeting, you have a series of emails and Facebook comments. That is the feedback that we have received from the community since July 31. It's presented so you have an up-to-date picture of the views and preferences of your community, accepting that there are some limitations around how we've been able to collect those views and preferences. Secondly, I just wanted to update you on some of the decisions that have come out of other councils around the region. Firstly, Rotorua District Council have met and they have agreed to be part of a Head Start proposal in the Bay of Plenty region. What they have also resolved is if that proposal is not supported by Cabinet, then their preference would be to continue to work with Taupō District Council to explore options. Secondly, Waitomo and Otrahonga have agreed to submit their proposal, so there won't be any surprises there. The big change has come around South Waikato, Waipa and Waikato District Councils. who have now all resolved to submit their own Head Start proposal, which, as you will have noted in the paper, is called the Western Waikato Unitary Authority. That proposal includes Taupō and it includes Hamilton City Council. And then lastly today, Hamilton City Council is meeting as we talk as part of their normal council agenda. They're considering Head Start. It's quite a long way through the agenda, so they haven't quite got there yet. But the suspicion is by the time you've finished meeting, they will have also made a decision. So, as I noted, the most significant change since you made your decisions on the 28th of July has been your inclusion in the Western Waikato Unitary Model. This now means that you are officially part of a Head Start proposal, despite not choosing to be. That is why you've got an agenda paper in front of you that does a bit more than what you asked us to do as part of your resolutions on the 28th of July, which was largely targeted at bringing you back a draft response to government. What's quite important for you to think about now in the context of this meeting are the consequences that come with being part of a Head Start proposal. The reality is, if the Cabinet approves that proposal to move into the detailed design phase, you will be committed to working through that. That will mean an adjustment in priorities for the organisation and some real challenges in terms of resourcing that. It's certainly not a piece of work that has been part of our work program going forward or our budgeting going forward for the 26-27 financial year. At that point, I might just stop and hand over to Sarah, who will give you an update on the financials which is sitting in the draft agenda, the agenda report.
Yeah, morning everyone. I just wanted to cover the financials fundamentally to bring the community on the journey. Now I know we've talked through these at quite some length, and the Mayor also has made a Facebook post in relation to the modelling. So given there were two sets of modelling in there, and that's probably quite confusing for the community. While I didn't want to go down a rabbit hole of financials, given that's not the purpose of the meeting today, and that is only one of the factors, I do want to just bring the community along the journey as to what we've got in front of you. So firstly, I wanted to point out that both sets of financials, the one completed by Western Waikato and the one completed by Taupō, both show the Western Waikato model being less favourable than the Taupō current state. So I did want to point that out up front. And then just to avoid confusions, the differences in the two modelling basically are the data set being used and what is in. So Waikato councils used an older data set of the 24-25 annual reports. While we did start there also, we updated our modelling with additional sets of data and landed on the 30th of June 2026 position being the most relevant and clean data set. This, however, isn't the major difference. Waikato modelling includes an entity with waters included. Because the waters assets for most other councils have been transferred at 1st of July 2026, as a foregone conclusion, this is actually an impossible state, which is why we chose the position to exclude waters in our modelling. While Taupō and Rotorua still have their waters assets in-house, leaving them in for either of those two councils would have been like comparing apples with apples and oranges. So there's a fairly reasonable assumption as well that Taupō retaining its water assets going into an entity without waters assets would probably be a challenging situation to manage. So that was our reason behind excluding water services, and again, I'm still very confident with the assumptions we made around that. There have also been questions on why the TEL fund is included in the debt metric and why that's relevant. So while it's not in the metric used in the final financial table that is being assessed, and if you see it's just the Taupō Council position from a gross debt perspective, Net debt metric is the metric our lenders use for our debt covenants, and that relates to what headroom any entity would have. So it is important we show this because that is comparing states. So we wanted to make sure TL was included because it is an asset which council uses to offset its debt headroom. Also, a quick note that we modelled 7 councils in the Western Waikato model. As you're aware, Waipa and Waikato, I believe, both approved a model with 5, which is excluding Waitomo and Otorohanga. Now, it doesn't make a fundamental, it doesn't make a material change to the position we've landed on from financial state. However, it does make it slightly worse because Waitomo and Otorohanga do have debt headroom and they have a lower cost to service comparatively. So, on that note, our full methodology is described in the paper, so I think that's all I needed to cover. But given I'm making it very clear that I strongly stand by our modelling, when you look at the metrics, it's clear the Western Waikato model is financially challenging for the Taupō community. I am not criticising other councils, and I'm not saying that our modelling is saying it's worse for those other councils. What I'm saying is that I'm a public servant and I serve the Taupō community, and those are the metrics I use to measure.
Two final points from me, which are really process orientated. On the 28th of July, you asked us to prepare a draft response. You will see that's included in your information package. We've essentially split that draft response into 2 different documents. The first is a covering letter to the Minister, and the second is the document, essentially the response that will go to the officials at MCIT, Ministry of Cities, Environments, Regions and Transport. So I'm still learning that one. The letter to the Minister has provided what we believe are the basic messages that you need to send. Think of it as a foundation, and if you wish, you're able to put more political messaging into that. So we provide the framework on which you can build. Our suggestion is that the response to the officials stays as a very process-orientated document. The last point I just wanted to make is, and you'll see it when the resolutions pop up for your consideration, but we've suggested some amended wording for Resolution 6, just to tighten it up and focus any changes on minor editorial amendments that align with the resolutions that you've made as a council. So that's the only suggested change to the resolutions at this point. That was all I needed to cover. I'm quite happy to take any questions at this point.
Thank you, Nick and Sarah. Are there any questions?
Haven't got off that easily for a long time, so thank you.
Would you like Nick to remain at the table while you're in debate?
Absolutely. If there are no questions, we'll move into debate phase of the meeting. So the plan is to let this run freely. You'll get one opportunity, and then whoever starts it off will be coming back to you, but is to give everyone the chance to put their point of view forward. So don't feel constrained by it.
Through the chair, I don't mind starting off. The reason I don't have any questions is because I'm very, very clear that our decision here is the right one. I'm absolutely perplexed that we're even sitting here having this debate because I don't believe this government's got the mandate to adjust local representation without talking to the people. I feel uncomfortable making this decision, having not been able to communicate fully and consult fully with the public. I've always felt that this was a political decision by the government. They created a problem with local government, in my view. They do have the ability to simplify local government and make some systemic changes that will find the efficiencies that they're looking for. For one, they could start paying rates on their schools and hospitals, and for another, they could stop collecting GST on rates intake. That in itself would have made a big difference. But no, we've got an election coming up and they have to be seen to be doing something. And that is the reason for this ridiculous time frame too, because they need to fit it in before an election. This is not conducive to getting the right outcomes for local government at all. If they are genuinely wanting to find these efficiencies and do what's best for our public, then they will allow us this time to engage properly. I'm under no illusions that this is entirely up to government at the end of the day. We can be compelled under any Head Start process. We could have put a Head Start process together ourselves and compelled other councils. Fundamentally, the government are going to make the decision on this, not the public, whose representation is directly affected. So my view is any submission to government needs to be very, very clear that we are not happy with the process. We do not believe that we are able to get the right outcomes for our community. Their own metrics, their own criteria for a successful Head Start proposal, we can't meet. We're not ready. And this Head Start proposal started off on the right foot, in my view. There are councils that do need to amalgamate, and they need to amalgamate quickly. By all means, get the legislation through that allows that. But give the rest of us enough time to get the right outcomes for our district. I'm under no illusions that amalgamation is going to happen. That will, I think, inevitably happen. But I would like to sort out some of the systemic problems first, because all we're going to do is take a district model and make it a regional model. So we're going to take existing problems and make them much, much bigger. We haven't solved anything by amalgamating. So I'm calling on the public actually here, because there's an election coming up. If you're unhappy as I am about this process, then let them know now, before the election. This should affect how you vote come November. Do you want to be listened to? Then make your voice heard. On a professional note, with my elected member's hat on, I'm in full support of a submission going to government, and we've engaged in this process fully and completely with the full intent of getting a Head Start proposal together if it was viable. It's absolutely not. By every metric that we've looked at, financial and non-financial, our district is absolutely not better off. We realise that we're probably going to have to take one for the team under amalgamation, but not like this. Give us the chance to do it properly. So I'll be voting in favour of the submission, subject to some wording. On a private note, I'll be submitting my own proposal, and it's very succinct and very clear. It's only 2 words, and the second word is off.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell. Anyone else want to make any comment? But Duncan, if you have a question, I'll make an exception. We are in debate.
All right, okay. Oh, yeah, yes, through the chair, I do have something to say. Look, I'll start with a quote from the Minister, Chris Bishop. Our message to councils is simple: lead your own reform, or we will do it for you. Either way, change is coming. Now, look, these have probably been the most interesting 3 months in my time, both this and last term, because it's amazing how a bit of pressure brings out the best of people and sometimes the worst. Look, I think Waikato Mayor Axel Beck taking the lead on something as constructive as the Waikato Western Unitary model is extraordinarily commendable, an example of leadership in crisis. In somewhat contrast, I find it interesting that we seem to be ending up fighting tooth and nail for more time, and our mayor using, I think, inflammatory and worst case scenarios, but perhaps it's a valid negotiation tactic I'm unaware of, but I think with the benefit of history and hindsight may reveal who was right, or perhaps even who was right for the wrong reasons. The problem is, I think we have been very much focusing on the form before the function and become trapped in the financial data over everything and anything else. Because of that, we had not much to offer small potential partners like Ruapehu, as they only saw themselves losing out, and also to bigger ones like Rotorua, because we only saw ourselves losing out too. The government tried to direct us towards catchment-based models, which we seem to have done anything but. Instead, thinking that small sub-regional would be better, neglecting, I think, to consider that being part of a large unitary would enable increased influence to Wellington and better access to professional services. Trying to become a standalone unitary has even been floated as a viable option, which is not necessarily beyond us, but would probably be expensive and therefore not very realistic. I intend, indeed I feel obliged to submit my own letter giving the government a fuller explanation of how I see Taupo's position, including that our community has not got strong views opposing the Waikato Western unitary model because it simply has not been informed enough to be able to give a proper opinion. And things like TEL and legacy debt haven't been dealt with simply because we haven't discussed them, as we, to the best of my knowledge, decided to leave the negotiations early on. So today, Taupō is making our Head Start decision, but the matter won't be resting there. We now have 3 quite similar proposals for large Waikato unitaries floating around. The Western Waikato Unitary, just referred to, a WRC model just recently shared, and my own Waikato Together model, which was unfortunately not permitted to be presented in these chambers for public view. I believe that in September the government will very likely announce that we will be part of one of these larger unitaries or a variation of them, and it will be a once-in-a-generation opportunity to further develop our preferred future, to reassure our community that we will protect our financial and environmental well-being and even improve community representation. We could decide to try and fight it, but I believe that would be a very big disservice to the people of the Taupō district, and instead we should embrace the dialogue which I think will very soon be taking place. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell, for the endorsement of my position, which has been formed from the feedback from the public. Councillor Woodward.
Thank you, Chair. We've all said many things in the amount of meetings that we've had. This has been just a huge process, and I just want to thank everybody, our staff, our team, our elected members and our public for coming along with us. This has been one of the biggest decisions that we've had to make, and yeah, again, it's a great time to be a first-term councillor. Overall, I support the recommendations before us, subject to strengthening some of the wording of the submission and the covering letter. My concern has never really been the reform itself. My concern has been the process. Leadership isn't simply pushing through change because it's difficult to stop. Leadership is having the courage to stop, listen, learn, and improve a process while there's still time to get it right. Government told us this reform was about collaboration, efficiency, and stronger local government. Yet it seems this process has seen us councils comparing ourselves against one another, defending our positions and competing rather than collaborating. I don't believe this was the intention, but I do believe it's been one of the outcomes. It's an unfortunate one. If government genuinely wants to learn from the Head Start process, then this is the lesson. We should be saying that clearly in our submission. I also believe this conversation is much bigger than amalgamation. Across the country, many of our systems that support our communities are under pressure and have been for a while. This is our opportunity not just to redraw boundaries, but to ask whether the system itself is delivering the outcome New Zealanders deserve. Good leadership doesn't start with the question, who should merge with who? Good leadership starts with the question, what kind of local government system do we want to leave for the next generation? Once we answer that, the structures should follow. Throughout this entire process, I've kept coming back to one simple question. Will this reform leave our communities stronger than they are today? If we can't confidently answer that, then we still have a lot of work to do. So I do support the submission, but I also believe we have a responsibility to strengthen it before we send it to government. History won't judge us by how quickly we make this decision. It will judge us by whether we had the courage to make the right one. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Woodward. Anyone else wishing to make a statement? Councillor Murch.
Yeah, look, I'm just going to be blunt. Since our last meeting that we had and the decision that came from the Waikato councils, both South Waikato, the Waikato district and the Waipa councils, given that they have announced that they are dragging us into their own Head Start proposal, it doesn't change my fundamental position. I still stand firm in the fact that this process has been flawed, and actually they've said that too. So it just surprises me that we can agree that the process is flawed, the process is not fair, our communities have not been able to feed into the process, yet they're turning around and submitting to it anyway. That's the most surprising thing to me about this entire process. There are a list of councils across the country who are pushing back against government. Let's team up with those guys. Let's team up with those guys and let's make our voice loud. That is my fundamental stance. And given that is still my fundamental stance, I will support the recommendation, submitting both to ministers and to, MCERT, whoever needs to hear it. I guess this is also a message to those councils up in the Waikato. Keep your hands off our district. Keep your hands off the Taupō district is all I can say. Come through the front door, talk to our communities, talk to our iwi, to our hapu, talk to our partners, but don't look at our district and decide that you have the mana to take it, because you don't. You don't have that. That's what I think. I think that we should be teaming up with the ones who are pushing back against government. Ruapehu, Rangitike, Wairua, Kaipara, Tararua, there are a list of them, a list of councils who are strong enough to stand up against this government and tell them straight up that this process is currently not legal. What they're asking us to do is go against the very law that we are bound by currently, which is the Local Government Act 2002. I'm just going to keep reinforcing that. They're asking us to go outside of their current law. I know they have every intention to legislate what is their current policy, but at the moment the law says that we have to do these things. And what they're asking us to do is go against what their own laws say, and that is very concerning to me. I support what Rachel has suggested to our community and pushing back. It is election year, and on that note, I'm also going to call on our local MP to stand up and support this town in fighting this. I'm not going to use the word that came into my head, but this flawed process is all I'm going to call it. The financial modelling is clear. They don't want to come here because they like the look of our lake and our mountains. They want to come here because they can't afford what they want to do without us. That's fact. We've seen it in modelling. We've seen it in their modelling, and I'm just I guess I'm not surprised. But what I will say is that this type of fight will require all of us to be on board together. Because if we are divided, if we can't agree on that, then it's going to be a very hard fight. But I think that we need to stand up. Just because the government's telling us to jump doesn't mean we should turn around and ask how high, because what they suggest doesn't always mean it is the right way to do things. I'll support the recommendation. I look forward to the discussion around wording when that happens today. But yeah, essentially it doesn't change my fundamental position. I'm totally against this process. I think that when we stand up to government, we have to do it loudly. My idea of radical in my head may be completely different to what other councillors are thinking. I still stand by the fact that we need to get down to Parliament if that's the case. The Western Waikato councils, the stuff that they're sharing on their socials, it's quite baffling, and I don't know whether or not our community have had the chance to check out all of the feedback from their own communities, which are quite, it's not coming out very clear to me when I look at them. But one statement that I saw last night on the Waipa District Council page kind of pissed me off. It said, why this proposal? Why this proposal from Waipa? Because it would give us oversight of the Waikato River from the headwaters of Lake Taupō all the way to Port Waikato and everything in between. I don't think so, Waipa. That's what I have to say. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Mertz. Councillor Malanui.
Hey, thanks, John. In any race, a head start gives you the best chance to finish well. A backstop exists only when you're left with no option. Today, we're asking for neither a shortcut nor a default. We're asking for time needed to make the right decision for our community. None of these options currently before us, including the Western Waikato, are ready or right for Taupō, right here, right now. I think to Wahine's point, our district is thriving. We've shown that we're financially strong. We're supported by quality infrastructure. Across our elected members group, we have strong iwi relationships. We're one of the country's tourism hubs. We're world leaders in the renewable energy stakes, strong and prosperous farming and forestry sectors. A decision of this magnitude deserves careful consideration, not one driven by compressed timeframes from Wellington. I think it's important for me to let our community know that our recommendation is not a backstop proposal. It's a request for more time to pursue, if it continues, the right head start. What will determine that, or what's to come out is neighbouring councils will have time to declare their positions. Genuine partnership opportunities can be explored through open, transparent and respectful discussions. And once again, to support councillors that have spoken, that word, I'll note that word respectful. There has been some comms coming out from some of our neighbours that I think are below the line, and kind of with that, it's for me, it's I've used this as a filter to run over some of these discussions. This approach is consistent with recent discussions we've had with DIA officials who have confirmed that such a proposal is appropriate and will be considered along other Head Start and backstop proposals. That's important, and as early as last week, we're hearing from our DIA officials that they will consider this, and certainly for myself, once again, helps remove some of the risk of putting forward a recommendation versus either a Head Start or backstop. This recommendation is a result of countless hours of work and careful analysis. So just once again want to thank council staff for all the time and energy put in for us over the last 6 to 8 weeks. We did not choose to be in this position, but given the current circumstances, requesting more time is the most responsible decision we can make for our community. It's I think the best decision out of lots of poor options. How this is received will determine, I think, our stance moving forward. So just in summary, we're not asking for a backstop. We're asking for the opportunity to get the Head Start right, should that continue. We ask that we please give Taupō District Council time to do that. And so with that, pending working through the details, I'll be supporting our recommendations. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Malanui. Councillor Rankin and Councillor Campbell, we just need to get round the room before we come back to you. Councillor Rankin, next time.
Thank you, Chair. Look, I believe absolutely that change is required in local government, but this process is not the thing that's going to bring about the change that's required. And structures do not create efficiencies, which I know I have gone on about, and I said to the Minister the other day and she did not respond, but only those who have not experienced the real dynamics of business would believe that it possibly could. It's about leadership and it's about culture. And I'm the only person around this table who was part of the Auckland amalgamation. And I know I have gone on and on about it, and my colleague here left Auckland because of that situation. And here we are going right back into the same thing. It might be slightly different, but it is actually basically what Auckland did. And it was supposed to provide incredible efficiencies. It cost a fortune. Costs escalated beyond what anyone could believe, because you can't create a structure and think that that's going to fix the issues that we need to concentrate on. So I am really, really frustrated, and I don't believe that our extra time, I want it and I support the recommendation, I don't believe that's going to deliver what we need either, because we are in no man's land. We have delivered really well to our community, even though the majority of the time they don't think we have. And we are in a position where we don't know where to go to protect them, and they're our main focus. And how do you protect them when you're being forced into this situation? And I agree with Councillor Murch that we need to pick up our game. If that time is not granted to us, we need to get in a car and go down there and make our own protest. And if there's only 10 of us standing on the steps of Parliament, we'll still get a lot of attention. And it's time that we did that. I didn't agree with you in the beginning. I thought, I can't do this. I can do it, and I'll be there with you if we need to do it. But this whole thing, and I have said this before too, the previous government did this to health, and we are all living with the consequence. It was worse because you had no say in it whatsoever. At least they're pretending we have a say in it at the moment. Health is destroyed for the next generation. Is that what we're going to do to local government? Because I believe it is. So yes, I'm voting for it. I am not confident it's going to give us what we need, but I think we need to step up our game. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rankin. Councillor Taylor.
Well, after listening to all of that, I'm not sure what to speak now. It might be second rate. Hey, I'm conscious there is a large audience here, and I thank members of the public who are here in person, and I'm conscious there are a lot of people listening online, including central government and other councils. So while we're all busy making political statements, I'll join the party and do the same. So these are my words, and I'll be as respectful as I can, and they're intended for a wider audience than just those of us that are in this room. So I'm conscious this is the biggest decision we as councillors and as a council will make in our time on council. And the papers we've had from what was DIA, now MCERT, were very clear. The process was intended for councils that were ready for amalgamation. Then the minister changed the rules and included everyone. To be clear, most of the country, us included, are not ready. And that's evidenced by the continual flip-flopping of decisions by multiple councils along this journey leading up to today. If councils were ready, the decision would have been there, it would have been presented, tick the box, but the fact that we've had to go back and forward multiple times is a clear indication simply not ready. It doesn't sound like any of them were ready for amalgamation, apart from one or two who were the focus of this in the first place. So this is an intergenerational decision that by all accounts is being rushed. We asked our staff to go away and prepare the options and to analyse them for us. They did that. And then at the last minute, and I note it was late at night the day before the previous meeting's agenda was due to be published, we were thrust into a proposal from Western Waikato. There has been a grossly insufficient time to do any due diligence on that proposal. And I'm not judging the merits of it one way or the other. They're just simply, you can't thrust a proposal on us at the I do note, prior to 1989, there was an in-depth travelling roadshow undertaken by the Local Government Commission, including all councils, prior to any decision being made. None of that has occurred in this current process. The compacted timeline has meant we and all other councils have been forced into the position of not being able to adequately consult with those most affected, many of whom are sitting in this room right now. It's our ratepayers and residents. And the Local Government Act is very clear in sections 76 to 78 about the responsibilities we have in making decisions. And I'm just going to, if you don't mind, I'll take a little bit of time, Your Worship. If I read from section 14, 14G, it says a local authority should ensure prudent stewardship and the efficient and effective use of its resources in the interests of its district or region, including by planning effectively for the future management of its assets. That's what we have been doing over multiple councils, all the way back to when the first mayor of the Taupō district was in power, and that's Joan Williamson. And I acknowledge former councillor John Williamson here today. I won't take too much longer. Actually, I might. The decisions by councils north of here to effectively compel us into an amalgamation does not align well, in my view, with section 14E of the Local Government Act, and that simply says a local authority should actively seek to collaborate and cooperate with other local authorities and bodies to improve the effectiveness and efficiency with which it achieves its objectives, and so forth. I note that the advice papers from government talk about this being a voluntary process. Doesn't feel very voluntary to me. And the papers we've been named in north of here doesn't sound very collaborative or cooperative to me. The process has been focused entirely on form, not function. It's what we're going to look like in structure before we've even talked about what we're going to do as councils. Finally, I'm getting there, I note the Waikato councils have been engaged in a process culminating in Waikato Water's done well. So I know because I represented this council for the last 3+ years at that table. That was a collaborative model which has only recently resulted in the formation of Waikato Waters. Most of the other councils have joined or will join shortly. It was a cooperative, engaging process with lots of hard conversations, and the very councils that have nominated us now, compelling us, were at that table collaboratively. And I do note that was a 3-year process and $16 million to get to the start line. And little of that was central government funded. The current process is forced, it's rushed, it's ill-conceived, and it was initially for councils, as I said earlier, that were ready. We are not. So I will not be party to a decision that literally sells our district down the river. I agree with the proposals we've got, or the resolutions on the table. And to take a note out of one or two of my colleagues around the table, perhaps the ministers involved could take a leaf out of the Prime Minister's recent playbook and apologise when you get it wrong. Minister, you got this wrong. So it's a yes from me to the resolutions we've got. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. It's good to hear your previous life as a police prosecutor has been put to good use, pointing out the variances with the law that we're currently facing. Councillor Foreman.
Oh, morena. Yeah, this is a very simple decision for me, and it boils down to the fact that I can't understand how any council that hasn't already been engaged in a amalgamation discussion previously can even say yes within the time frame. So I'm really surprised that anyone would agree to go into the Head Start without having full discussions, because we're here and accountable to you guys. You voted us in. We're here on behalf of the community. If we can't tell you what it's going to look like after amalgamation, why would we enter into one? So we can't agree to any options for amalgamation. It's just not right. We wouldn't be good kaitiaki, we wouldn't be good councillors on behalf of ratepayers if we were to decide to go into any of these. But it does boil down to, we just want time. We know it's coming. We want to be able to include and be open and transparent about what it's going to look like and how it will evolve. It's just not nice. We don't want to be doing back alley deals when we haven't got the information on what it's going to look like. So yeah, I'll be supporting we stay true. And whenever we turn up for the hikoi, I'm there this weekend.
Thank you, Councillor Foreman. Councillor Delator, you're next, followed by Councillor Leonard.
Thank you. Look, much has been said. I've written a bunch of notes around the process, but I won't rehash those. I think they've been well outlined, and I just wanted to ensure they were in the meeting so that the council did, the public more so understood, what we have been through. I'm confident that we've walked through the options available to us really thoroughly, and that we're making the right decision for town and our ratepayers. I did want to reiterate that the process from the beginning was really confusing messaging around the Head Start process is there for people that are ready. You've got that have been talking previously, that have got an obvious geographical alignment as well. It's a voluntary process. Or we'll do it to you. I mean, I just that's just two very different messages that came out within the same couple of minutes from Central, and I'm sorry that that was the case, because sometimes you get one chance to for the majority of people to hear the messaging around something as important as this, and that was the messaging that the majority of people heard. I think it would be irresponsible for us to rush into this. I support the submission, and really proud of the work that we've done and we've got to actually, and the stance we're taking, and look forward to the next steps.
Thank you, Councillor Delator. Councillor Leonard.
Thank you. I guess I concur with what Councillor Delator's just said, but I would like to add some additions on. We've been given this instruction from central government. We agree that there are some places that have been broken and where amalgamation really needs to take place. I believe that central government should be looking to fix those, not us. We're not broken. We are really attractive to others because we have had a history of prudent financial and asset management. Our assets are in good order, our finances are in good order, and that's why we're so attractive to others. There are going to be unintended consequences that will negatively impact our community, and we are here for our community and the people within it because we care passionately about them and the place that we live. This is not a good deal for Taupō or the people of Taupō. We had the example, as has been mentioned, around the 1989 reforms. A number of councils, as they amalgamated with boroughs, then went on to sell their assets and take the money and run. We haven't done that. We've hung on to our assets, we've hung on to our financial position. We can come up with any agreement within these agreements as far as a head start to try and ring fence and protect those assets and to protect funds, but there's nothing to say that that won't be dissolved moving into the future. So this is just something that I can't agree with and can't abide by. I also would like to push back, as others have said, to central government, and if they're looking at us in the mirror, then why can't they look at themselves in the mirror? There's a whole lot down there that needs to be fixed. There's a whole lot of them sitting there perhaps not doing the right thing by taxes and the best use of taxes. I think the other thing that needs to be considered amongst this is they push things out to ratepayers. That means that not everybody's contributing to that, and that really concerns me. Tax is something that everybody pays, and rates isn't necessarily. So there's a lot wrong within this system, and I support what we've got in front of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Leonard. Councillor Greenslade.
Thank you, Your Worship. I think it's very clear the message coming out from councillors around the table. I've not heard anybody disagree with anybody else. I've heard people talk about different aspects of it. So I'm not going to reiterate what other councillors have said. I'd just like to say to the government, what is the problem that you're trying to solve? Are we a problem? Do you see us as a problem? Is it our responsibility to fix other people's problems? We don't appear to have a problem. Do our neighbours have a problem? If our neighbours have a problem, surely you should be talking to us about that. So those sorts of questions we've never had answered. My concern from day one has been function and representation, and being the councillor that represents Turangi, representation is always very, very high on my list. What I would like to say is to the people, I would like to say to the people across this district, the 1,100 of you who put in a submission, thank you very much. I'd like to say to the people who submitted to his worship in the last couple of days, so much so that he posted on Facebook this morning that he had no chance whatsoever of replying to all of you. So clearly he has been inundated with responses. I have read the 30 pages of responses. Not one of them supports what this government is saying. Not one of them.
Thank you, Councillor Greenslade. Councillor Campbell.
Yeah, look, just first, just responding to a few of you. Councillor Matanui, you said we're not asking for backstop, but according to the rules of the game set before us and the decision we're about to make, we're going to be in backstop. Yes, Councillor Rankin, I went through the Auckland amalgamation, and that was actually a significant reason. The reason I vacated the place, but I think actually the Auckland amalgamation is gives some great lessons to learn from, and we certainly don't need it to do it the same way as them. Responding to Councillors Murch, Taylor and others, yes, under the Local Government Act, this is a significant decision that merits informed community consultation, and we do have grounds to object. Arguably 3 months is too short, and giving some leeway, I think the Waikato region is probably the most complex in the country to get a handle on. But under the Local Government Act, we're also obliged to work for the best interests of the district. And before we go down the path of further objecting, which we have legal grounds to do, at least until new legislation gets introduced to prevent that. Until that happens, we need to await the September announcement, and I think we will get lumped into something against the collective will of these chambers right now. I think we need to carefully listen and engage with the opportunities it presents before we decide to do that. So I will be voting against.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell. Councillor Cameron.
Through the chair, thank you. Just on that backstop note, Duncan, not even the government have a plan for the backstep process yet. We've asked. They don't know how it's going to work either. So I'm back to this stupidity of all of this, the nonsensical time frames. They're clearly political. They are not for the best interests of the district here at all. The elephant in the room is that central government are in large part the reason why councils are in such dire straits financially. This is just one area of reform, which quite frankly, given the time frames, we've got Parliament's going to be dissolved very soon. We've got an election in November, and there's a whole new government to be sworn in January. I'm afraid this is going to cost everybody millions of dollars for no good outcome. It's a complete waste of everyone's time, money and resources, all things considered. And this is pretty common, isn't it, for central government. Previous governments have done the same thing. It's the flip-flopping and the cost implications of that are costing local government money left, right and centre. This process tells me that central government have got very little understanding of local government functions or the complexity of it. Again, I will, with all the professionalism and diplomacy I can muster, support this submission. But quite frankly, the costs are put on councils with the flip-flopping legislation is in the billions. Think Three Waters, flip-flop, we've got local waters done well. We spent millions of dollars trying to implement Three Waters, only to have to start all over again, and more millions of dollars to set up local waters done well. Future for local government under the previous Labor government, Labor-led. Now we've got simplifying local government. That's just a few that I can think of off the top of my head, but this is costing the country billions. The fundamental problem with New Zealand Inc. is the funding model. We don't have enough ratepayers to keep coming up with the money that the government insists we have to keep finding. We've got two mechanisms, borrowing or increasing rates. If 70 odd councils up and down the country are having trouble managing exponential costs that are out of our control, that's not incompetence, that's systemic. And I think we've got a perfect opportunity now to go to government and say, your processes, your policies, your legislation flip-flopping is what's costing local government all this money. We have an opportunity now to set that right too. So whilst this is purely on amalgamation at the moment, this submission, there is a much, much bigger piece that we need to call on central government to fix. They need to sort out their own backyard.
Thank you, Councillor Cameron. Councillor Woodward.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to definitely support those comments from Councillor Cameron there. She's not wrong. This is a huge problem. It's not just the amalgamation. It points to the problems that we've been facing for a long time of what central government pushes on local government and expects it to just jump every time it asks us to. They don't have any idea what we have to do or what we have to deal with, and this does seriously highlight a much bigger problem. And central government needs to start taking care of their own responsibilities and not putting them onto local government, or if they're going to put them on local government, then they should help us fund those responsibilities. I just wanted to make a comment too about what Councillor Campbell was saying. And I personally don't think that the Western Waikato model isn't that, I don't think it's that bad. But there's no way that I will commit us to a structure that is unknown. And that's why what we're doing is not backstop either, Duncan, and we can't say that we're going through that. We're not committing to any process because none of the process has been outlined clearly enough. This is the most unstable environment our country, I think, has been in quite a long time. We need to let these elections happen, get some stability, get some actual leadership happening in our country, and then we can look at rebuilding this, because that's what needs to happen is local government needs serious rebuilding.
Thank you, Councillor Woodward. Councillor Campbell.
Yeah, but I've got to end with one thing, and if I was a betting man, I'm not really a betting man, but if I was going to put money on anything, money on us getting left alone. And given that we're not some inconsequential little council off to the side, we happen to have a big lake in the centre of our district, which, roughly speaking, feeds to nearly half the population of the country. I think the chances of us getting left alone are small. But having said that, if Labor government gets in and decides to change direction, of which I'm quite sceptical, I'd give it a 20% chance we will be left alone to our own devices. That's the odds I'm putting on this. So if anyone wants to start, any bookies want to start up I reckon it'll be an interesting little bookmaker, a little earner anyway.
Thank you, Councillor Cameron. Councillor Campbell, thank you. You upset me with running a book. I don't think that's illegal as well. Councillor Murch.
Thanks. No, I was just going to make a comment, Duncan. You're right, we do have a massive lake and we do control the water, so should we just close the dams? No. Back to the comment around focusing on the opportunities. I take that. I agree that is always something positive to do, but I guess for me in this instance, the risk far outweighs the opportunities in my eyes. The only real opportunity that we have spoken about is that we would have larger representation, a larger voice down in Wellington. in terms of a unitary authority. But that's only if that unitary authority represents the best interests of this town, and I don't think that they will. I genuinely don't think that they will. So that's another risk that you would have to run, and it's not a risk that I'm willing to take. I always like to focus on the opportunities and the positives, but at this stage I just don't think that there are very many. I don't think that the opportunities outweigh the risks that we would be taking if we would delve into that Western model was also. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Murch. I think it's pretty clear what the room is thinking, or the majority of the room is all on the same page. We'll take this to the vote. The recommendations, one recommendation at a time. Would someone like to move recommendation 1, which is on the screen there? You're happy to move, Councillor Cameron. Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Rankin. I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary? Councillor Campbell. And that's passed. Moving on to recommendation number 2. Let's give you a minute to read that. Councillor Delator, did you want to?
I just realised there's some desire in the room to have some input into the letter and the submission. So I was just clarifying at what point that happens, and I understand that point 4 and 5 in our resolution. So I guess we'll get there.
That's correct.
Through the chair, Duncan, understanding that, you thought you were voting on all of the resolutions.
Yeah, I'll look at it carefully now. I'll get back to you.
Do you? Yep, okay.
We're moving on. We're on to recommendation number 2. Can we have a mover for that? Councillor Murch. Is there a seconder? Councillor Foreman. Put it to the vote. All those in favour say aye. Contrary, no.
To clarify, we're on the second point now, aren't we?
Yes, we're on the second point.
Yeah, no, sorry, I object.
Councillor, your objection is noted. Councillor Greenslade? You're supporting it?
No, she's objecting.
You're objecting? Okay.
And my
objection
too, so to number 2.
Yeah.
Sorry, Your Worship, this is not objecting, this is voting for or against. It would be helpful if the councillor just simply read what's on the screen right in front of him.
So, you're against Councillor Campbell?
Yes.
Councillor Greenslade? You're for it or against it? Thank you. How about that?
And could I, through the chair, can I just ask that we've noted the voting online, please?
Councillor Woodward.
Thank you, Chair. I'm okay-ish with the recommendation. It's just a little bit of the wording that I would like changed.
Well, number 2.
Just wonder, I just wonder if it would help Councillor Campbell as well if we added in there, confirm its strong opposition to being named as a directly affected council in the Western Waikato Unitary proposal, given the current information we have, because that's what we're basing all of these off, the current information that we have. And although we've done exceptional work in the current information that we have, it's still not, we can't compare the information properly because we haven't had nationally consistent information.
Does the mover would support that amendment?
No, I don't support that amendment.
Councillor Foreman? So we'll put it to the vote. All those in favour, it's number 2 as it is. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, no. Carried. Moving on to number 3. Can we have a mover for number 3? Councillor Greenslade moves it. Is there a seconder? Councillor Taylor. Put that to the vote. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Hope. Did you want to speak, or are you saying?
No, I want to speak, please.
No, not at voting.
Sorry?
We're actually voting, but
So,
Okay,
Your
will you
Worship,
just tell me when you're ready for me to speak?
Just, Your Worship, I wonder if just prior to voting on each of these, because I'm conscious Councillor Woodward now has had her hand up on 2 of these, that we ask if there's any commentary and then put it to the vote. Otherwise, we're going to be having questions asked after we voted, which is unhelpful.
Councillor Woodward, go ahead then.
Councillor Taylor. Yes, so just again, the wording. So where it says that if council is forced to amalgamate, we've already discussed this quite a lot on that wording. I would prefer the word, compelled.
So, Councillor Greenslade, I think you moved that. Are you happy with the wording it is?
I quite like the word mandated. I don't like inflammatory language like forced mandated.
That's not a mandate.
That means the same thing. I don't get it.
There's a whole range of words you can use in the English language. I'm happy with it the way that it is. If Councillor Woodward is the only person objecting. Yeah.
Councillor Taylor, you second it?
I second it. It's an academic exercise. The word's been the same. I'm really not fussed one way or the other.
Thank you for that. We'll put it to the vote. All those in favour say aye.
Oh, interestingly, it's such a different conversation the other day.
All those in favour say aye, or hold your hand up. Against? Councillor Campbell is the only one against. Oh, Councillor Woodward, you're against? That's noted, but however, that's passed. Moving on to recommendation number 4. Is there any commentary before we go any further on that?
Through the chair, I just wonder if it might help Councillor Woodward to understand where this conversation started from, and it was more about the letter and submission going to central government and the wording in that. The recommendations don't go to central government, that is directing staff. So if that's of help to you, Councillor Woodward.
Thank you, Councillor Cameron. I appreciate that. And I do understand that it is also for our own community's perspective as well. This is online or this is available to any public member. And I think it should reflect our conversations properly.
Noted, Councillor Woodward. Is there a mover or anyone else want to pass any comment on that? If not, Councillor Greenslade.
I'm happy to move for.
So moved by Councillor Greenslade, seconded by Councillor Foreman. Put that to the vote. All those in favour say aye. We'll go. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Hope. Contrary, against is Councillor Campbell. Thanks, so that's passed. Recommendation number 5. Any commentary on that? Councillor Woodward?
Thank you, Chair. I'm just understanding the process that we're doing this in. So I'm happy to vote for that that recommendation, but not before we've edited it. Or do we edit it after?
If I may interject, Your Worship, good point, Councillor Woodward. I think if we approve that now, then the editing is null and void. So if there's significant changes you want made, now's the time to do it. And if it requires more than just a couple of words and an apostrophe here and there, then we would probably need to get staff to go away and redraft really quickly so we can vote on it.
So, Councillor Woodward, what are your concerns?
It's just a little bit hard when I think it's still on here. Yeah. Are we able to bring up the letter on our screen?
Possibly. No, can we? It is in that, on Diligent in that pack.
Yeah, I understand, but I'm on Zoom with you, so I can't switch to Diligent.
Okay.
Oh, actually,
So,
maybe
so if I may, Your
can.
Worship, I'm conscious that in our debate, we've made a whole lot of political statements. We haven't actually debated these two letters. I'm also conscious that in terms of process, we're now in the voting stage, but if we're not going to put it across the line, we need to get it into a form that we can get it across the line. So this seems to be an appropriate opportunity to maybe deviate from the strict rules of process here in your hands.
Please give me some advice on that. We're taking a...
I'll just say do what we're doing. Put the letter up, go through it. If there's only minor changes, then we can just go ahead and do it. If it requires significant change, I would recommend we just suspend the meeting for a few minutes, allow staff to do it, bring it back to us.
Councillor Woodward, can you read that letter on your screen?
Yes, I can. Thank you. So I think it was just...
Through the chair, that's not the letter. Sorry, Hope.
Oh, yeah, that's the response. No, thank you,
there it is.
Councillor Mitch. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Well, I just think that our cover letter is going to be needing to be, our submission needs to be exceptionally strong, but our cover letter is what they're going to read first. And I think we've done an excellent job pretty much on what's there. It's just that we're missing a little bit on, like the government actually improving the process or coming back to the table with us and talking about this process. It focuses on the structures and not so much outcomes, how we actually have measurable outcomes across our communities from the amalgamation. There's a few things that I would change.
Can you be a bit more specific as to...
So it just needs staff need
What do
guidance. I just acknowledging that to make the changes, if we could be clear so that we make the right, give us some guidance would be just politely requesting.
So, Your Worship, just through you, just conscious that we've all had time to read these and we've had them for some time. If you, respectfully, Councillor Woodward, if you have got some suggested amendments, send them through so they can be included and we can debate. So they would need to be specific and pre-prepared, which I trust you have done, which is great.
It is. Yeah, I've got it just here. Should I just email it or?
Speak to it, I think.
Yeah, just speak to it.
So just in our first sentence, we understand the government's drivers of local government reform, etc. I wondered if it would look a little bit better if we said that as a council, we recognise the challenges facing local government, support reform that strengthens communities, improves efficiencies and delivers better long-term outcomes. We are committed to working constructively with government and neighbouring councils to achieve those goals. I mean, I've rewritten the submission, to be honest. And it's kind of hard for us to sit here in an open public meeting and completely change it. And this is, I know it's been fast and it's already been changed since we've last seen it, which is awesome, because I'm not sure how everybody else felt about it, but I wasn't very comfortable with the first one.
Through the chair.
Councillor Cameron.
I'm going to go back to some of our discussions leading up to this, and I'm going to be completely honest. I don't think it matters entirely what it says. I think the messaging is clear that we need more time. The messaging is clear that this isn't going to get outcomes, and I think we'll lose something if we go into too much detail. I mean, I think about all the reports we have to read, both here and in my other profession, and I can tell you now the reports I appreciate most are to the point, succinct, easy enough to
Exactly.
read,
Yep.
to understand, and I think our cover letter is that. It could be stronger in its wording, but that's just because in my personal view, I'm feeling so passionate about pushing back. But from a diplomatic standpoint, I'm happy that the messaging is there, and we can debate semantics and wording up the wazoo, but I'm not convinced that will make any difference to the ministers when they read it, in all
Councillor
honesty.
Foreman.
Yeah, I'm same. The messaging in here sits well with me. The only thing I did bring up previously that I would be happier if it was removed is the fact that we've still got the 8 weeks post cabinet decision time frame in there. I'm not confident we can meet that, and would prefer it not be in there, but happy to open it up to the other councillors to see how they feel.
Councillor Delator.
In response to Councillor Cameron, yes, tend to agree. I think we're here in this position. I think probably we all would have changed words a little bit, slightly if it was us writing it, but it's, I think as long as the themes are there, as you say, then unless there's specific things, we may just need to roll with that. If there is specific things, we may, instead of all going around and saying our opinion on it, may just need to do a quick vote whether we want that changed or not. It would be my opinion or suggestion. But
Thank you, Councillor Delator. Councillor Rankin.
I would counsel against taking the time out because they'll give us less, not more. I mean, the Minister did indicate that it was going to be a struggle to get more time. Well, she didn't say that, but that's certainly the feeling I got from what she did and didn't say. We were certainly not going to get more than that, but if you don't put in the number, they're going to give us a month or something. So I'd put it in because that's our minimum time frame.
Thank you, Councillor Cameron. Councillor Woodward.
Thank you. I appreciate everybody's pieces of advice, and I agree. I think it is just because I would personally word it a little bit stronger, but generally the most of the things are in there, and like I said, I am glad to see it has changed since we last saw it. Can I ask or offer then just one sentence, I guess, at the end is, can we please encourage Cabinet to judge every proposal against one simple question: will this reform leave our communities stronger than they are today? Because that's the point of this whole thing, right?
Councillor Taylor.
But if everybody says no, that's okay.
Councillor Taylor.
Look, I want to acknowledge Councillor Woodward and the time and effort you've put in. That is appreciated. I just wonder, we could spend some time going back and forward. If there is a majority of those in favour of what we've got on the board now, it kind of makes the debate a bit null and void. I don't want to cut anyone off, but I wonder if we've got a show of hands, we put it to the vote, and if it gets across the line, then we can move on.
I think so. That being the case, we're talking about number 5.
Through the chair, can I just ask a question? Are we going to send this letter also to our local MP?
Don't know.
I'm asking that.
I don't know.
Well, no, as I read the letter through you, Your Worship, it's Dear Minister Watts, so that's not our local MP.
I know that.
Or you
but
could
our
easily
local
put it to
MP
both of them.
represents us at government, at the cabinet. She's at the cabinet table.
Councillor Cameron.
I would support that, actually. I think every minister should read our letter and our proposal, quite frankly. I would agree with that.
Okay, thank you.
One more point too, for the benefit of other councillors. Whilst this is what is officially going on behalf of the Taupō District Council, I can tell you my own personal messaging is going to be the firmness that I believe is necessary to get the message across. So our own channels are where we can, I guess, get our messaging across, our passion across and our concerns. So that's an option to us as well.
Thank you, Councillor Cameron. Councillor Foreman.
Don't forget we actually have 2 ministers. So if it's going to Louise Upson, we also send it to Rawiri.
It's addressed to Minister Watts, but I think what we're saying, if you want to send it to our local MP, That's up to you.
I just wonder if I can help there. If you're going to send it to Minister Watts, he's co-signed with Minister Bishop, send it to both of them, and if it's our local MPs, it's Mr Rawari, Waititi and Louise. So that's 4, which seems to me to be appropriate, if everyone's happy.
Thank you. So just item number 5, can we have a mover for that?
We have.
Councillor Taylor, and a seconder, Councillor Rankin. Put it to the vote. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Against? Councillor Campbell was against. So that's passed. Moving on to the last one, recommendation number 6, and this is the amended one. Does anyone have any commentary they want to make on that wording before we put it to the vote?
Yes, Your Worship. What sort of things do you think that they would change, considering we've all discussed this and talked about this today and are quite happy with it? What's the purpose of it?
Councillor Taylor.
Well, given that I'm named in that, maybe apostrophes, commas, punctuation, spelling. It's minor, it's editorial, the intent will remain the same.
I would argue that gives permission to send it to the other ministers.
Yeah, for example.
I was just going to say, perhaps it means sending it to the other.
We took on board the conversation earlier in the week, and the intent from the Mayor and I is not to take your recommendation and then flip it on its ear and say something completely different. So, no.
Thank you, Councillor Murch.
Yes, I'll move it, given that I did ask for it to be amended, so I'm happy to move that, yeah.
And seconded by Councillor Foreman. Put it to the vote. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Contrary, against? Councillor Woodward, Councillor Campbell, Councillor Woodward, I've lost track of whether you're for or against.
I'm for number 6 because we've made those changes now. Thank you.
Excellent. Councillor Campbell, can you just clarify? Everyone's for it. Well, that's an easy decision then. That's all passed. Believe it or not, that is the end of our meeting. So I have the honour of thanking you all, the members of the public, and particularly the members of the public that have made many submissions. It has been very helpful, and it's been of great assistance to the staff and myself, and just confirming we're on the right track. Councillor Rankin, you'd like to say something?
I also congratulate you for your chairing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Anyone else have any comments? I'm not looking for any accolades. It's the last thing I need.
And I started something.
And Your Worship, I would like to say it's been very helpful to the councillors too. I found the submissions from the community extremely helpful. I read every one of them.
It's only there's one particular group I'd like to thank, and that is the staff led by Nick. I'll be with you shortly, Steve. Nick and Sarah, and the team behind them. You know, I'm aware there were many hours over many days, if not weeks, because we were subject to a lot of changes in policy that were happening, the people that we were working with, and these letters and submissions were put together many times as things changed. So thank you for the commitment made there. Now, who have I cut off? Councillor Malanui.
Yeah, I just want to finish by saying I think we can be proud. We're showing leadership here. The easy thing would have been to follow others and, you know, feel like we were forced into a head start or a backstop. We're letting the government know what we want. So well done, team.
Thank you, Councillor Malanui. Councillor Woodward, final words.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, well, everybody else has been thanked, but I would like to thank our elected members. This has been a lot of work, and there's been a lot of conversation around the table, on phones, through emails, and we have a very dedicated, passionate bunch of elected members, and I think we've all done a really great job. We don't all agree all the time, but we've got there, and I think we have done what's best for our district and our people. So well done to the elected members.
Thank you, Councillor Woodward. Councillor Cameron.
Along the same vein, thanks Sarah and Nick, burning the midnight oil, I know, and the teams behind that, so thank you. And yeah, well done elected members. It's quite hard to stand up in the face of central government bullying, because that's really what I see this as. And I just want to remind everybody, we do have a general election coming up in November. So I've read all the community feedback, and they are very opposed to this process. So I would implore them to get in touch with their ministers, all the ministers, and make their views very clear, because this is a public decision, not a decision from up on high. This should come from the community, and I ask everyone out there who's opposed to this to make their views known before there's an election.
Any other councillors want a last word, last statement before we... Thank you.
Through the chair, to say one thing. Yeah, I reckon, I've said it before, but I reckon this has been quite the most interesting 3 months, and going forward will probably be quite dull in comparison. But at least until we hear from the government what's going to happen.
Just following the desires of our residents, Councillor Campbell, that's what many of us around the table are trying to do. Could I ask for some help in closing the meeting and the closing karakia?
He te rito o tēnei hui, kia wāte e runga, kia wāte e raro, aro ki te tika, aro ki te pai, hui e tai kia.
Thank you all, particularly people online and the people in the audience here. It's appreciated, particularly the submissions that have been made. It has been very helpful for myself and the team. Councillor Mananui's about to hit the slopes. It goes... but for those submissions, the time you took to make those were very helpful, and I'm sure if you were to talk to Nick and his team afterwards, they would probably confirm that. So thank you once again.